Okay, so ahead of the Eagles' playoff matchup with the Bucs, Jason Kelce made a bold claim about the offense that makes it seem like all their problems can and will be fixed by this week. So is this true? Well, Nick Sirianni believes things will be fixed, and he also made a statement that he's really pissed off, and he seems ready for the challenge of getting things right in the playoffs. And he better be, because some think that he could be coaching for his job this week, especially with a new great head coaching candidate becoming available. And speaking of coaching changes, it's pretty much been confirmed that the Eagles are ready for a huge shakeup to the coaching staff this offseason, and a new report from Adam Schefter shows that offensive coordinator Brian Johnson might be on his way to becoming a head coach anyway. Plus, why is Brandon Graham so confident that the Eagles will finally bounce back against the Bucs this week? We're going to talk about all that and more in this video today, so let's not waste any time and get straight into it. Okay, so with all the recent struggles this Eagles team has had, the main guy that's been taking the heat is Nick Sirianni. There's no question about it. People are not happy with the job that he's done this year, especially recently, and it's led to all these rumors about whether or not Sirianni is even going to remain the head coach of the Eagles next year. So with all that and the pressure of the playoffs coming up, Nick Sirianni went on WIP and gave us some insight to how he's feeling and his mindset as he and the Birds try and move forward.
We're in a little bit of a slump right now. We're losing 5 out of the last 6. Not a little bit. I'm really pissed. And all my mindset is to make sure that we, are doing the things we need to do to help us win this next game, and not thinking about anything else but that, because there can be a ton of distractions if you allow there to be distractions. And so, in good times, it's easy to block out any distractions. In hard times, it's not as easy, but that's what I don't get paid to lead the team when it's easy, right? I get paid to lead the team when it's tough. And again, that's also, how I have, same thing with my family, same thing with everything. So this is the times that test you. And look forward to this challenge that we have to get it going back right again.
Well, Sirianni is right in a sense. He is paid to lead the team in the hard times, not the easy times, and these are the times that test you. So I guess we'll see how Sirianni responds in the playoffs. You at least gotta like hearing that he seems to be embracing the challenge, but at the same time, they've been being tested throughout this entire rough stretch, and they just haven't responded the way that they've needed to. So hopefully that changes, but I just have a hard time believing it after 6 weeks of seeing and hearing the same things over and over again. But Sirianni better hope that things do change this week, because a lot of people have been speculating that if things don't go according to plan against the Bucs this week, this could mark the end of Sirianni's time as the head coach. I think at this point, Nick has proven to have some serious deficiencies, mainly being that his scheme is too simple, and without a great play caller, the offense just isn't nearly as effective. I mean, the Birds are 21-6 with Shane Steichen calling the plays, but with Sirianni and Brian Johnson calling them, they are just 13-11. So it's clear that has made a huge difference, and it's led to a lot of people wanting Sirianni fired, and it's not helped Sirianni that a new great head coaching candidate has become available, and that's Mike Vrabel. And if the Eagles did want to move on from Sirianni, Vrabel would probably be a really good fit. I mean, he led the Titans to 4 consecutive winning seasons in his time there, and he always has had good or great defenses, and they've brought that physicality and toughness that Eagles fans want to see on defense. So that issue for the Birds would probably then be solved with Vrabel stepping in as the head coach. He'd just have to get a good offensive coordinator in here, but again, I think he'd be a great fit for the Eagles. And then there are also some other candidates that would make a lot of sense as well. So what are your thoughts on the potential of Mike Vrabel being the Eagles' next head coach? Now, with that being said, I still think that Sirianni will probably remain the head coach next year, just considering his full body of work. Plus, this account on Twitter made a good point saying, quote, honestly, Hurts can't keep getting new coaches every year. We'll never peak. So, not saying I fully agree or don't understand the logic behind firing Sirianni, but I just don't think the Eagles are going to do it after this year. Then again, if things do go horribly wrong again this week against the Bucs, then maybe the likelihood of Nick getting fired gets much higher. Now, moving on, we do know that the likelihood of one Eagles coach in particular being fired is extremely high, and that is defensive coordinator, or I guess former defensive coordinator and play caller Sean Desai, as just before the Eagles' final regular season game, it was quietly reported that it's almost certain that Desai won't return to the team in 2024 per Jeff McLean, which is fantastic news. I mean, obviously Desai was not a very good defensive coordinator in his time with the Eagles. I mean, sure, he did have his moments, but overall, he was just really bad. He put the players in bad positions, his scheme made no sense, it was just bad overall, and now obviously Matt Patricia's in there, and it's even worse than it was with Desai, and Patricia definitely needs to go too, and I'm assuming that he will, at least I'm hoping that he will. And if they're both out of here, then the Eagles again have a few good candidates to look at defensive coordinator. One is Jesse Minter, the Michigan DC, who the Eagles actually did interview for the DC position last year, and he just led an amazing Michigan defense that was a huge reason for them winning the national championship, and his aggressive style would surely be a switch up, but a welcome one for the Eagles. And then another big name candidate to look at, and the one that I would probably prefer, is newly available Giants defensive coordinator Wink Martindale, as he and the Giants decided to part ways, with Ian Rappaport reporting the news, saying that Wink has gotten interviewed for head coach jobs in the past, and he could get more looks now in this offseason season as well, but if he doesn't get hired as a head coach and he does remain a defensive coordinator, I think he'd be the perfect fit for the Eagles. I mean, the Birds just played the Giants last week, and we know how creative the Giants were with their blitzes and their schemes and how aggressive that they are, and I think that's something that this Eagles defense sorely needs and would benefit from. Now we know that so far under Sirianni, he's brought in guys that run this bend but don't break kind of defense. They've liked the Vic Fangio style while he's been here, which means less blitzing and more conservative zone coverages, but assuming that he stays here, Nick did say last year that he's completely open to changing the defensive style when it came to hiring a new DC, so that should remain true this year if they're searching again. And then if Sirianni obviously gets fired, we know anything could happen as far as a new defensive coordinator, so I'm personally excited to see what happens, and I love Wink as the new DC, but what do you guys think? And also, it seems like the Eagles could have a huge change at offensive coordinator this offseason as well, with Adam Schefter reporting that, quote, Panthers are expected to interview Eagles offensive coordinator Brian Johnson for their head coaching job per source. Now, as an Eagles fan, I absolutely love this because I hate Brian Johnson calling the plays for this offense. I don't think he's done a good job at all this year, and I think that's pretty much the general opinion of the entire fan base. I don't think there's any question that it's been a clear downgrade from Shane Steichen to Brian Johnson as the offensive coordinator and play caller, and if you just look at the amount of talent the Eagles offense has, they're really underperforming, and a lot of it has to do with coaching and, again, play calling. I mean, there's just no creativity whatsoever in any of the play calls, and at the end of the day, he's just not been putting his players in the best positions to succeed. And why is he so obsessed with the quarterback draw and wide receiver screen? Like, those two plays really haven't been that effective all year, especially the wide receiver screen, yet they continue to go to it time and time again. It just makes absolutely no sense. But hey, Panthers, do what you want. Maybe they see something we don't, but I'm more than happy to drive Brian Johnson to the airport myself because I'm ready for a change of the offensive coordinator position as well. So let's just all hope and pray that he gets the job. But now getting back to the present, the Eagles obviously have a playoff game this week against the Bucs, and they sorely need a bounce back. And despite all the struggles recently, it still seems like there's belief with this Eagles team heading into the playoffs, as Brandon Graham recently made it known that he's very confident heading into their matchup with the Bucs. So don't worry, we're going to get into that and a lot more in just a minute. But real quick, I do want to say, if you are enjoying this video or finding it informative in any way, and you're part of the 75% of people that haven't done so already, make sure you go down right now, subscribe, and also, very importantly, turn on notifications so you don't miss any other Eagles updates just like this. I think that's a win-win for the both of us. I mean, I get more people watching the videos, and you don't miss any other Eagles updates just like this. And also, while you're at it, make sure you hit that like button. I'd greatly appreciate it. Now, with that being said, let's get back into the video. So on Tuesday morning, Brandon Graham went on WIP radio, and he got fired up and made it clear that he still believes in this Eagles team, and he pretty much promised that they will respond against the Bucs.
Hey, ain't nobody ready to lay down, you know what I'm saying? And we ain't got all the answers, but I do know that what we put out this past, 2 days ago, it ain't gonna happen again. I could bet the house on it, you know what I'm saying? Because I know my team's gonna respond well, and I know Jalen gonna come out and lead the way. And, you know, we believe, man. And I love how our backs is up against the wall. You know, everybody like, man, we might as well pack it up. Yeah, that's that weak mentality. We ain't got that, you know what I'm saying? And so I can't wait to go out there this week, man. Get ready.
So again, that sounds amazing, and it really wants to make me believe that maybe there is a chance that the Birds come out here and fix their issues and go on a deep playoff run. But with what I've watched from this team recently, I mean, with all the problems and just everything that's going on, I can't really buy into that fully. I mean, of course I'm going to root for my team. I'm really hoping that they win this game on Monday, and I do think there's a decent chance that they do, but I just can't buy that all of a sudden, now that the playoffs are here, the Birds are going to flip a switch and everything's going to be fine. Although if you listen to what Chad Ochocinco had to say, who, by the way, it seems like he's become an Eagles fan recently, that's exactly what he thinks the Birds are going to do, as he essentially said that he thinks the Eagles have been playing possum and not putting their best effort forward recently, as they've just kind of been recharging and getting ready for the playoffs.
Watch what them boys do. I know it. I'm familiar with their game. I know what they're doing. Eagles fans, I tell you, I know what I'm talking about now. Now watch.
I don't know. I mean, I do love Ocho, but I just don't buy into that theory that the Eagles have been cruising just waiting around for the playoffs. And Jason Kelce kind of shut that down on WIP radio saying, quote, "We're not tucking our shirts into practice, we're waiting around for the postseason." To me, that's all just nonsense, to be honest with you. I mean, the reason we're not winning is because you're not executing and the plays aren't working out, which is true. I mean, again, I just think that the theory that the Eagles have been waiting around for the playoffs so that they can then flip the switch and surprise teams is just dead wrong, and it kind of sounds like an excuse, as much as I'd like for it to be true. And speaking of Jason Kelce, he did go further into the Eagles' offensive issues in his weekly appearance on WIP, and he kind of made a bold claim to some Eagles fans, once again suggesting that they're right there and no huge change is needed to the scheme or play calling for the offense to be successful. He just thinks that they have to execute better, specifically in one area that really cost them last week, and has cost them throughout the season.
I don't think we need to do a whole complete shift or revamp of the offense. I think we need to do some things better and put ourselves in better situations, coaches and players. But I think the reality is, the plays that we have in and have been doing all year, I think are ones that we can have success with and have had success with. I know it didn't, last week, we just didn't handle the blitz. Outside of that, we moved the ball pretty good. We had some good running game calls early. We only had a half of football to deal with, but I think that was really what took us out last game was not handling that. Mm-hmm. And I think that that doesn't have to do, I think, as much with the overall revamping or running plays and stuff like that. I think that that's more execution and being in the right spot. And Wink's good, he got us, but I think it's ultimately something that we'll move forward and be better at next time. But I think outside of a few games this year, the offense is operated pretty well.
So Jason really just stated the obvious there. The Eagles could not handle the blitz last week for whatever reason, and some of that was execution and just guys not picking up or holding their blocks. But I really think that the main reason you saw the Eagles struggle so bad against the blitz is because Jalen has nowhere to go with the football when he's hot. I mean, there's no dump off safe routes to go to when he's being blitzed. Instead, it's just all guys running deep, not even looking back at the quarterback. And I think that's why you've seen Jalen really struggle against the blitz this year when he was great against it last year, because the offense gives him no answers for it. So I'm not totally disagreeing with Kelce. The players do need to execute better, but the coaches just got to put Jalen and the players in better positions to succeed at the end of the day, and they got to give him some routes to go to when he's hot. Now, Nick Sirianni, when asked a question about the Eagles' struggles against the blitz, said, quote, "There's many different things that you can do, and the ones that we chose to do Sunday, they weren't good enough. So that's going to be on me because it starts with the plan that we put together, and so it wasn't good enough. We have our ways that we're going to fix it. We have our ways that we're going to move forward with it." So hopefully Sirianni and the coaches finally realize the error of their ways, and they give Jalen Hurts some options to go to when he's being blitzed. And again, overall, let's just hope the Eagles can get back to playing better as a team. Get back to playing like they did the last time they were in Tampa, as they controlled the time of possession with a great rushing attack combined with a good passing attack, and defensively, they were great as well. I mean, we know the Eagles can beat these guys. They dominated them in week 3, but they gotta get back to at least that level if they want to win. Now, of course, we're going to be covering the Eagles this week leading into their playoff matchup with the Tampa Bay Bucks, and also throughout the rest of their playoff run, assuming that they do win, and also just throughout the entire offseason. So if you don't want to miss any of that, again, make sure you subscribe, and also really importantly, turn on those notifications. Also, drop a like down below if you want to show some support, and leave a comment down below just regarding anything that I talked about in this video. And if you want to watch another Eagles video recapping their horrible loss to the Giants in the season finale, you can go check this out right here. Now, with all that being said, that's pretty much all I got for this one, guys. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.